perspective is Congressman Ron Paul, a Republican from Texas. Congressman Paul is a member of the Financial Services Committee and vice chairman of its Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee. Congressman, thanks very much for being on our program.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, you just heard Lizzie talking about the various things perhaps that might be done in response to this Madoff scandal. Your first thoughts on what the government's role is here?
Well, not what they're doing. This is too little, too late. I think it proves one thing: the SEC is totally inept and really hasn't prevented any problems like this. We have plenty of laws on the book dealing with fraud, and that's how we should deal with this. It wasn't the lack of regulation like the Sarbanes-Oxley regulations that came out of the Enron scandal. Fraud laws took care of that problem. The SEC came into existence in the Depression and helped prolong the Depression. So none of this is going in the right direction. What we've done is actually the whole system has legalized risk, and this is more of a reflection of one operation that should be regulated, and that is the counterfeiting of money. I mean, that's where all these bubbles come from. But we literally legalize risk by pretending that the SEC is going to protect us, and the proof is they can't protect us. We're not safe in our homes because we have a policeman outside our doors. We're safe in our homes because we're concerned. Everybody should be concerned, about their investments. But, the biggest Ponzi scheme ever is Social Security. So, why should we be surprised that private people do exactly what the government does?
But what are you saying, Congressman, then? Are you saying that the SEC should be shut down, that it doesn't provide any use?
Oh, sure, it doesn't. It's proven it's a total failure. It isn't a lack of regulations. Every time a problem comes along, we put on more regulations. And what did Sarbanes-Oxley do? I assume that the bear market started in the year 2000. If you look at the NASDAQ, it did. But what did Sarbanes-Oxley do? It compounded our problems. More businesses left our country. It didn't do anything to stimulate business. So we create an atmosphere of moral hazard, whether it's the insurance, whether it's the Federal Reserve, or the dependency on the SEC regulations, the idea that you're not allowed to fail, that everybody gets bailed out. Everything we do compounds our problem and prevents the correction.
Congressman, though, some would argue that this is exactly the problem, where there is not enough regulation. And in fact, look, the point that you read in some of these articles is that regulation is working. The problem is the people behind the regulation. They're not enforcing it properly. So it's not really so much that regulation is wrong or that it's not working, is that it wasn't enforced properly.
Well, that is exactly right, because they're incapable of it. It's impossible. I mean, if you want to be safe in your home, are you going to station a policeman in front of every one of your house? And that's a similarity here, that you're going to have SEC agents every place investigating everything. People are not allowed to commit fraud. People ought to be vigilant. People ought to be free to fail. We shouldn't be setting this system up that guarantees moral hazard and causes people to do all these wrong things. So it compounds the problem. It hasn't helped us one bit. And all we're going to come up with is that we need more SEC regulations, which will further compound our recovery, because that is the last thing we don't need. What we need is an investigation and finding out why financial bubbles occur and find out why the Federal Reserve is responsible for this.
Okay, Congressman, thank you very much for your time. Always nice to talk with you. Congressman Ron Paul, Republican from Texas. We're back with more on the Madoff scandal.